Hey guys, how's it going? Matt from Foul Ball Productions here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope that you're doing well because I'm doing phenomenally. Thank you very much. This is the 100th episode of the MFer podcast. Guys, we did it. 100 episodes, Tuesday nights. Used to be Monday. I think it was Wednesday when I started, but hey, you know what? We are here. We crossed that threshold, reached that apex. 100 episodes. That's pretty rad. I'm very proud of that. That's something else. We made it to 100 episodes of the Cocktail Lounge, and then we put it to bed roughly sometime after that. That is not going to be the case with the MFer podcast. We're going to keep chugging along. We're going to keep rocking and rolling. And as has been with the new format of late, I have been adding guests to the show. It's not just me. I have people joining me to talk ish about the world, about politics, about all types of stuff. And I'm joined by a very special guest today. Very special young man. You know him if you watch any of the Cinema Clash streams with me and Zax or Circle of Jerks, or you just might know him because he's a very prominent YouTuber. Please welcome none other than Leon Idol.
What is up, my man? This is awesome. I don't get to talk hard politics near enough. So shout out, congrats on 100 episodes. And
Thank you.
serendipitous because my 100th episode is also this week, so this couldn't come at a better time. Well done, brother.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, that was pretty cool when you said that. I was like, oh, what a coincidence. You know, small little world.
Yeah, which means we started doing because this wasn't your first show, right? You were doing movie stuff and whatnot related first, because Neon Leon wasn't my first show either. So around the same time, we're like, you know what? Let's do something different because fuck, talking just pop culture exclusively.
I had to grow a little bit. I mean, this podcast was partially motivated because I was doing a show with Vigilante Williamson called Culture Crime Fighters, and he stopped. Like we put the show to bed. You know, we did a bunch of episodes of that show, and we just had enough. So I was like, well, I got to do my own thing now. So started doing the MFer podcast, and here we are. Here we are. When did you get into streaming? I was kind of curious about that. I don't know. I don't know your origin.
So technically, this is my third attempt at the channel. It's been the only successful one. I was doing some. I had a channel way back in the day called Drinking Games, where me and my buddies would like just consistently drink while playing video games, just having progressively drunker, stupider conversations. That didn't really go anywhere. He was one of those that was like, "Oh, we can't tell XYZ jokes, otherwise YouTube will suppress us." And I was like, "Bitch, we have like 200 subs. You don't know who the fuck we are. We can say whatever the fuck we want." So with him being a little bitch, I opted to do something solo, and then within 3 videos, my apartment got broken into and robbed.
No.
So yeah, stole all my equipment, everything. So I took a several long year hiatus, but then about a little over 3 years ago, I got back into it with Words of Paradise, and the rest is history. So I've been doing this for about 3 years now.
Now, did it start off 3 years? Okay. Did it start off as a Magic the Gathering podcast? Was that the idea, or a show, or channel, or
It,
whatever?
it was Wizards of the Coast in general. I was so well. It started off as my second wife left me, and I needed a coping mechanism to not think about that. And my buddy was like, "I'm just gonna give you a PC because I'm getting a new one anyway. The only requirements, you gotta play World of Warcraft with me. Beyond that, do what the fuck ever you want with it." And I was like, "I need a creative outlet. I hate how what Wizards of the Coast is doing," and then it just sort of evolved from there.
That's awesome. That's a pretty funny bribe from your friend.
Yeah, you're telling me, especially because after about 6 months of playing together, we stopped because World of Warcraft kind of sucks now. So it's like, all right, so that's cool. I'm building a new PC. It's just about finished, but yeah, this one's on its last leg. It's like a 10-year-old PC, but I'm not bitching at all. It was truly a life-changing event. I can't thank my buddy enough for it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I played World of Warcraft when it was like popular, I think, like when it was at its peak. I got into it. A friend of mine was really into it. You know, he had like the hand like brace, you know what I mean? And he had like the whole setup. He was like
Oh, like in real life, so he could just play uninterrupted and not hurt
Yeah.
and shit. Yeah, dude, I was never that sweaty. I had like the thing you set your wrist on, but even
Okay.
that, I was like, I don't like the way this feels. And so
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I feel like
I
if
don't
you're
game like
starting
that.
to if you're injuring yourself because you're playing too much World of Warcraft, maybe just play less World
It's
of
time to
Warcraft.
stop playing fucking World of Warcraft, right? Like, dude, I don't binge TV shows. I'm a gamer. I love gaming, but I can only sit and game for maybe 2 or 3 hours. I'm like, okay, I gotta do something else. Like, I feel like I'm being productive.
Yeah, I start to feel like really guilty, and
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't enjoy it, and it's just it drags on me. I just finished a playthrough of Fallout New Vegas, and I've played it
Fucking
a
love that
thousand
game.
times, but I just it's like towards the stretch. I was like, okay, like just get it done. Go kill the legate and the game because I'm just like I need to get off this fucking computer and get on the computer and do work.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's another thing is because I sit at the computer nearly all day because I'm always streaming or always making videos or always editing. So I like I need to find reasons to go out and touch grass, whether it be whether it be working out or going to the movies or even just to fucking walk to the convenience store to get some alcohol. It's like I just need to be up and moving because I'm at this bitch all fucking day.
Yeah, and it
I didn't even ask if this is a cursing show. I just should have.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. It's called the MFer podcast. You can.
I was telling my kids like I'm gonna be on podcast and be on tonight, and she's like, "Oh, what's it called?" It's like the MFer podcast, and she's like, "The motherfucker podcast." Because my kid's 12. I'm like, I know you probably already swear, so as long as you're not swearing at like other adults or whatnot, if it's in the house with me, I don't care. So she just looks at me, she goes, "The motherfucker podcast." I was like, "No, but I like what you're saying."
No, MFer. It's different. And it's called this because my name is Matt Fowler, so it's like a double entendre.
Yeah, I explained that. Oh, I didn't know your last name was Fowler. I said it was Matt Foulball because that's what I know you as. I didn't know that was your last name.
Well, that's where the nickname came from, is because that's what.
I just figured it's because you were a sports guy. Because I mean, you obviously you went to be an actor and whatnot, but you've got the build of someone who's always been in sports. So.
Yeah, not really. I was kind of like I played sports when I was a kid. When I was probably until maybe like. I played freshman football. I think that was the last organized sport I played. And then I just got into weed and was just snowboarding.
To be fair, snowboarding counts. That shit's hard. The one and only time in my life I've been snowboarding, I took a fall and I fucked my leg up for hours. Like, I don't know if I hit my thigh on like a rock or something, but I couldn't even walk, dude.
Dude, I knocked myself out like cold one time. Just my head, like I hit my head bounced off ice and I was out. Just completely out. Yeah, I fucked my knee up too. Yeah, snowboarding's rules, but it's like it's so fucking dangerous. Like, my friend wants to go take a trip, to Colorado. I have a friend who's like living out there, so it's like dual trip. Go see him. We'll go snowboarding, and I'm like, bro, I'm 40. You know what I mean? Like, if I fall and hurt myself again,
I could have swore you were close because I'm 31. I could have swore you're like 33, 34. I had no idea that you were 40. Yeah. It's kind of unfucking fair.
Dude,
you're like, I started smoking weed. I was like, I don't even smoke weed. I look like a skeevy stoner. Fuck you. Like,
yeah, I don't know really because I used to I used to drink heavily and do a lot of cocaine and smoke cigarettes. I don't know why. I don't know why it all worked out. I think it's because I don't have kids. I think that just kind of preserved me.
There's a youthful glow from not having kids. Although to be fair, I'm a one and done type of individual. Like I treat children like I should treat drinking. I mean, I don't. I drink way too much, but.
But just one, just for the taste.
And I've got like 4 shots of vodka prep for my stream after this. So.
Oh, nice. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the other thing, guys. Obviously, we got Leon here, for about an hour, and then he's going to go on to his show, and I'll redirect you there when we wrap up. But it says here, see who's here in the chat. Got Zax. What's going on, brother? How you doing,
What up,
sir?
Zax?
That's how we know each other, because of Zax.
Yeah, the guy that introduced us.
Absolutely. Zax just like pulls them all in, man. I don't even know where he finds everybody, but
I don't know where he finds his videos. I don't know where he finds the people he finds, the whole line. Zax is just this weird like underground dealer of YouTubers and content.
I know. It's like he should have like his own like YouTube hub, like like a production company, because he's good at finding talent and he's good at like bringing everybody in. I don't know where he finds them all, but it's
find some dude called Sentient Dildo. Dildo isn't even spelled right. It's like, how the fuck do you find someone who's got dildo misspelled? What the fuck?
To be fair, I found Sentient Dildo. More precisely, he found me. We found each other. This was years ago. I was doing the Expanse streams because, like I said, like you said, that's how I started doing YouTube. Was I started talking about the Expanse. I would go over every single episode on live stream and just talk about what I liked about it, what I thought was strong. And then, kind of branched out from there, doing different topics in media. But Sentient Dildo, I guess, was a big fan of the Expanse, and that's where he came from. And Zax was in the chat too back then.
That's fucking awesome. I had no idea. What a sick origin story.
Yeah. Ruben's here. What's up, Rubenito? Good to see you. Hail to you. One letter off of hello, Sentient Dildo. What's going on, brother? Rubenstein. Gao Cameron.
Oh, Carrymon, yeah, he's one of my mods. I posted my Discord. I was like, yo, I'm doing shit over here. Come check it out. So thanks for rolling on over, Carrymon. Appreciate you, homie.
Absolutely. Good to have you here. Thank you so much. Since I was roller skating. Oh, wait. This chat vanishes. I was roller skating my leg. And my foot went forward and then snap, broke bone.
Ooh, didn't like even reading that.
Compound fractures are brutal, brother. Those are like, my ex-girlfriend was really good with medical stuff, blood, injury, stuff like that. For me, that
shit
stuff
I'm terrified of, yeah.
Makes me so queasy. I don't like it at all. I
I,
can
I
handle.
can watch a movie and I'm completely fine because I know this shit's fake. But the real life stuff, I can't do it. It's like that was when I was in the police academy. And they were showing us all these like the things you might see, like all the promo videos and stuff. And I was like, this may have been a bad choice. I mean, I stuck with it, but this may have been a bad choice.
I might not be in the right place here. Dude, there was one I saw this video. It was recently. It was on Twitter. And I think I'd seen it when it was new, but it was like this kid was skateboarding and he fell or whatever. And I guess he broke his ankle and he picked up his foot and it was like,
Oh yeah, I've seen videos like that. It's so
and he's
fucking
just like,
rough.
I was like, oh my.
When I was a kid, my Chad father had a workout room, still does, but he had one when I was a kid. And that was the one room in the house kids weren't allowed to go into because we could fucking hurt ourselves. And of course, me, my little brother, little sister were monkeying around in there because we're not supposed to be. And I fell off his bench press, and my arm twisted like all the way around, and snapped. And my parents, we lied to my parents about how it happened because we didn't want them to know we were in the weight room. So we said we were jumping on the couches and fell off and whatnot. And after 3 days of me being in pain, my parents were finally like, yo, something might be wrong. We should take him to the hospital. So I operated 3 days to fucked up broken bone. And when they finally took me,
What is
apparently
wrong? What is with you in hospitals, man? Go. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, well, apparently the type of break was a very unorthodox break to the point where the doctors thought my parents were abusing me, and because we had lied about jumping around on the couches, and we kept that secret for like 3 years till one day I pissed my sister off, and she went and told my dad. She's like, "Just so you know, Leon's been lying about how he broke his arm." Like, my mom was pissed. My dad was impressed. He was like, "Dude, you guys like got along for 3 years enough to band together in a lie. That's impressive teamwork." He wasn't even mad.
He's kind of impressed with the cohesion. That's great. Oh my God. 3 days. That must have been agonizing.
Yeah, my dad made a sling out of a Scooby-Doo pillowcase. It was like, he'll be fine.
Oh God. Ugh. I've only ever broken one bone, and it was my hand. It was my
Playing guitar?
No, no, I was
Oh, yeah, a lot of people
masturbation.
break their hand
Actually.
playing guitar. I've never broke my hand playing, so I was curious.
No, I never played guitar. I didn't have the patience. My friend tried to teach me years ago, and I was like, "This is hard."
You
Fuck
look more like a
this."
drummer anyway.
Yeah, I probably could. I don't have rhythm like that. Like I can't. I can dance, but I can't like. I can't keep rhythm. I can't keep time. I'm too neurotic. Like I overthink it and fuck it up, and I don't have the patience. It never appealed to me anyway. But no, I broke my hand in a fight years ago. This dude jumped me when I was hammered, and he like kicked me. Well, he kicked. He didn't kick me, but he kicked. But then I like jumped back, but fell back and landed on my hand and broke the bone there, and that fucking sucked. But that's the only bone I've ever broken.
Yeah, no, you're lucky. Broken bones, they suck. Did you win the fight though? That's curious. Did you win the fight?
I was so hammered. I think it just got broken up. I don't think it was
Gotcha.
anything like that. It was like my cousin's friend, and he was being such an antagonistic asshole. And we were arguing in the back of the car, and she just like pulled over in this parking garage, and was just like, "You guys need to get out and stop fighting." Blah blah blah. And as soon as we got out, he like swung at me. I swung at him, and then he went to kick me, and I fell back and broke my hand, and then he got in the her boyfriend got in the middle and stopped it. It was it's just a gay.
You don't want it. No, you don't want. He got off easy.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want none of this. You don't want none of it. I didn't really know how to fight back then, so he probably could have kicked the shit out of me, but he didn't. So, who else is here? I just want to see. Oh, Papa Cotton. What's up, doggy? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, my friend. Papa Cotton, loyal MFer. These are my MFers.
I like that.
Yeah.
MFers. It's got a nice ring to it. It sounds so much more imposing than Vital Idols, which is what I call my crew.
Oh, I kind of like that though. The Vital Idols. I like that. That's good. Is that your last name, or is that just like a moniker?
It's a stage name because with the shit I cover and whatnot, I don't want to be like doxxed and swatted while I've got like my kid here and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm a big Billy Idol fan. So
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah. Yeah, I worry about that sometimes. I mean, I guess I'd have to have like a bigger profile online for it to actually matter. But it does kind of freak you out sometimes when you hear about what goes on with people. And it's like I say some pretty spicy stuff, in this city, in Austin. Who knows? There's a lot of wackadoos.
yeah, it freaks me out far less now because we're actually in a time politically where that shit isn't happening as much because people are allowed to speak their minds and aren't getting like quote unquote canceled and shit like that. When I started YouTube in general, even this channel, that was not the case. There were certain taboo topics. And when I started this one, that was like you could see that it may be on the decline, but there was still that real risk there. Over the last year and a half, 2 years, so I've been like, it's fucking fine. Say whatever you want. Talk about how much you hate the Muslims and the Jews. Who gives a fuck?
I think it kind of, yeah, it's sort of like one of those things where if you're like on a national level of influence, you probably have to be a lot more worried. But
Right.
if you're just a small time YouTuber, I don't really think anyone actually gives a shit. Speaking of which, what have you been covering recently? Because I know you focus more when you talk about news, it's more like pop culture than like kind of like hard politics.
So on the shows where I've got guests, I do pop culture and stuff, and then my hard politics are my solo shows on Wednesday and Thursday, which is where I do like so yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a pretty hard politics day. I usually still cap the show off with some pop culture stuff as like a palate cleanser, but
Okay.
yeah, I do. I mean, a lot of what was going on in the UK. I've covered some of what's going on in Minneapolis. The problem is there's so many people covering it, like
Yeah.
that. I feel like I'm behind the behind the curb on. It's like, oh, so many people have gotten to this before me. So like I did the Don Lemon stuff, but that was it was 2 days after the fact. But yeah, so much of what's going on in the UK is what I've been focusing on a lot lately because it's terrifying to me because we are a stone's throw away from being in the same boat as them.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
No, it's fucking terrifying. I listen to a lot of Carl Benjamin, like Sargon of Akkad.
Same. I actually reacted to Carl yesterday.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's fantastic. But it's he's the one. He's sort of my nexus, is like my way of getting into all that. Like how I know about it is because of him. And it's God, it's horrifying. I mean, it's like they've just given over their entire country. The vast majority of people are completely against it, and yet it just keeps coming. It just keeps happening, and it's like, we have a big problem with immigration here, but I don't feel like it's on the same level. It's ours is more kind of like what's the word, like this is an oxymoron, but I mean like benignly malignant, where it's not like mass rapes or murders.
Yeah, we've got drug dealers, shit like that coming in, but it's not entire like Muslim grooming gangs.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, yeah. And it's my conspiracy theory is that what's going on in the UK is a test bed for like if they can get it to work in the UK, whoever the powers that be are, Illuminati, One World Order, what do you want to fucking call them, right? Whoever the guys in charge are, they're using the UK because like they're similar to the US, but they don't have that same rebellious spirit we have. So if they can do it there and succeed, then they'll migrate to be doing it here.
yeah. And they've given away so much of their personal liberties. Like they don't have like the right to defend themselves really the way that we do. You see they try to do that in some blue states here, but it's not quite the same. But like in the UK, it seems like it's illegal to defend yourself. Like if someone breaks into your house, you kind of have to like let them be. And they
Yeah.
gave up all their guns. So there's a lot of different angles where they're just getting steamrolled, and it's pretty horrifying because if you think of, you think about like Europe, right? It's like it's gonna be gone in a way.
Oh,
Like
the
they're
replacement rates, even for here in the U.S., but the replacement rates are like for Europe and for East Asia are next to non-existent. Like 30 years, there's not going to be a UK. There's not going to be a South Korea. There's only going to be these fucking third world nations of these backwards folk that are breeding like rabbits because we're out here being like, oh, it's too expensive to have kids. What about my degree? Like gay shit like that.
Yeah, and it's like you're watching these cultures, these sort of like ancient European cultures just get watered down. It's like the people talk about going to like Paris or Milan and the whole streets are just flooded with like Africans selling trinkets, and you're like, this is not what this is supposed to be.
Have you watched the videos of like the street scammers that's all over like France and shit like that?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
it's
saw it, yeah.
mind blowing.
Yeah, it's so disturbing, and I know it's probably not as widespread as it seems because we're just seeing the videos of the areas that are like intensely overpopulated with third worlders, but it is just it's very disturbing and concerning because it's like, well, it's not gonna stop. Like it's not like they've put a moratorium on it. Like there's a lot of things going on with this Trump administration that I have issues with, and I don't really feel like they're serious about deportations the way they bluster, the way the propaganda and the talking points go about. I want to believe that they are. I'm for that, but I don't really see them doing it. But at least the border is shut.
Right.
At least that. At least we've capped the leak.
Well, and even in like the sense of Europe, you were saying like it may not be as bad as we're perceiving it because of the media. Even if that's the case, even if it's not as bad as what we're perceiving it as because of the videos, the fact of the matter is all the people in power, all the politicians, all the individuals that were voted in to do the will of the people don't give a fuck. They are more concerned about these illegal vagabonds just infesting their culture, and the same is happening here. I would agree with you that it's more benign by comparison, but like I'm I'm one of those. If you are here illegally, I could not give a fuck how long you've been here. I don't care if you're a good person. You get the fuck out.
I mean, it has to be. It has to be like that. It's like I think especially the people. How many millions came over the past 4 years? Right? It's like I understand deporting millions of people is going to be an incredibly difficult logistical operation. There's no way around it. But how about let's focus on that. The American people can all agree, except for crazy leftist lunatics, whatever. We don't count them. They don't matter. They're not people.
Yeah, they're not people. They don't deserve rights.
Yeah, no. But the majority of American people could agree that now, okay, yeah, they have to go, right? It's like it's a tougher sell when it's like someone who's older, who's been here for 20 years, or like, someone who has like a life. It's like I still don't think in principle that they should be here. I feel like if you didn't sort out your immigration status over this amount of time, well, that fucking sucks. It's like you had all the opportunity in the world to do it. You didn't. That's not my fucking problem.
I got no moral qualms. I don't feel guilty for a moment. People are like, oh, their children were born here. Anchor baby shouldn't be a thing.
No.
The dreamers, birthright citizenship shouldn't be a thing in the first place. I do not give a fuck. Deuces.
Yeah, deuces. I mean, like seriously, but it is this thing where it's like, okay, but you do have to grapple with the realities. It's not like we can fucking snap our fingers like Thanos and just say all back in Guatemala or whatever. Like you do have to actually walk through this. So, okay, how do we do this? How do we tackle this? It's like, do we start getting the military involved? I feel like that's going to be pretty unpopular. It's like, okay, why don't we just destroy all the incentives? Like, why don't we just get rid of any access to welfare or maybe even healthcare? Maybe we even start go to extend it to healthcare, or we limit healthcare, or we find another way so that it's not something that they can just use as the emergency room, which is what I hear is the kind of commonality. Like if you don't have a social security number, you don't have any way of being billed. They're just always going. They're just always there.
Dude, did you see that dude viral video from the last few days? This black guy, he's in the ER and he's like screaming and yelling and he's crashing out, understandably so, because of all the illegal immigrants in the emergency room. He's like, I'm here with XYZ issue, I can't get help because y'all motherfuckers are taking up all the slots.
Yeah, and then we all end up paying for it because what is that like? I was listening to some dude at the gym the other day. We're in the sauna, and he was talking about typical kind of leftist take, like, oh, it's greed in the corporate environment, in the healthcare environment. It's just all greed. I'm like, you think it's greed, or do you think maybe the fact that all these illegals are using all these services, which all cost money, the supplies cost money, the staff cost money, operating costs, all that stuff, and then they have no way to pay for it, so they're passing those costs on to everybody? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Well,
anything at all?
The thing is, it's a common, because don't get me wrong, there is a drain on the system. I mean, these are parasites who are draining the system. Conversely, if I was a business owner and I was like, well, how do I save a buck? Oh, I hire Pedro over here because he's going to work for 54 cents. I have to pay taxes on it. Now, would I do that? Absolutely. However, should that be allowed? No. So, I'm all for deporting all these motherfuckers, but also got to be some sort of accountability for the businesses that are using this sort of labor, this cheap labor, effectively slave labor, to face consequences of the fact that you were also breaking the law by hiring them.
Well, dude, 100%. And I think some of Trump's biggest critics on the right point to that as proof that he's not serious about this. Because if he was serious about it, then he would do something like that. He would make it so that the fines outweigh any financial gain you'd get from hiring illegals. And then that would dry up. So you lose access to welfare. You lose access for employment. Now the incentives are absolutely destroyed. And it's like you're going to most likely self-deport at that point or turn to crime, which, could very well happen. But that's why we have police force. So I don't know. I feel like there's what's that, brother?
When the police force are allowed to do their fucking job.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's been going on. I mean, the whole thing in Minnesota is really, it's crazy. I said this in a video, but I'm so sick of fucking Minneapolis defining our national politics. I don't think
heard Zoran Mamdani talking about Minneapolis yesterday. I was like, the fuck do you care? You're the mayor of New York.
Yeah.
The fuck should you have any say on what's going on in Minneapolis, dude?
But we all do. I mean, we all do. It's like 5 years ago it was fucking George Floyd. Now it's like what they call her, George Droid. No, what is the? There's some incel term.
Did they come up with a funny name for Renee Good? Is that
yeah?
I didn't know they came up with it. Oh, that's damn. I wish I knew.
Yeah, there's some incel name that they use, like Foyd. That's it. It was George Foyd. So Foyd is like some term for like women that's like an incel term. So they called her George Foyd.
I
Um,
didn't know that. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. But like, once again, like, it's like this insignificant city. I don't ever think about Minneapolis, ever. It never crosses my mind, except now it somehow is always like the epicenter of politics in the country for the past 10 years. I can't stand it. But anyway, so they have all these riots, but a lot of it was that the local police were instructed to not help. So a lot of these ICE guys were out there like on their own, just basically like this kind of limited federal force, basically having to, fend for themselves in a city of millions when, the police could help. Now, I did see video from last night of police being deployed in the city. So maybe things are changing a little bit, but there was that shooting of that guy Prete or whatever the hell his name is. Did you happen to see that? I imagine you did.
Yeah. I've been seeing. I've been following it. I've also been looking into the background of the individual. And look, I don't know if this is going to be a hot take or not, but to me, that was just another example of FAFO.
Yeah.
Fuck around, find out. Like, does it suck some dude's dead? I mean, sure, but when you're going to a location like that with that level of hostility, when you know there's ops going down, when you're doing it as what is effectively a freelance paramilitary style individual, my pity well's bottomed out.
That's, I align with a lot of that. Like, I think, to me, like, objectively, just the situation, it's like, this one I kind of am not like on the individual cop's side. Whereas with Renee Good, I was like, that stupid bitch had it coming. Like, I don't know what the hell she was thinking. She drove her car at a cop. She was given a lawful order to stop. She didn't stop. That's what happens when you get in that situation.
Oh,
This guy,
and don't mistake, because you say you're not on the individual cop side. I think there needs to be an investigation into whether or not the shooting was justified or whatnot.
Yeah.
But by the same token, the shooting we know would never would have happened if you didn't have someone cosplaying as a paramilitary dude out there running amok.
that's without a doubt true. What's up, Piranha Pout? Hello. Good to see you. And also Culture Casino dropped in. What's up, player? Um, but yeah, no, I mean, 100%. Look, if you didn't get involved, you would definitely still be alive. I mean, that's more than anything. And it's not, it's not like he caught a stray as a protester holding up a sign. It gets weird too because all these fucking rape whistles. Have you noticed that in a lot of the footage?
They're so fucking annoying.
That's crazy. It's like, is this protesting now? Like, I don't know. Like, this is starting to like kind of become like sonic warfare. Like, I don't know if I'm being hyperbolic with that, but it's just like this does seem like, I don't know. I feel like if you're doing that, there should be some sort of consequence. You should at least be detained or something. But that's regardless. So they're doing all this stuff, and then he gets involved when the officers are trying to detain. So I think another protester. The videos are vague because they're not as long as and extensive as the Renee Good videos, where you can see pretty much everything that happened. These are a
the
little.
quality is way worse. It's all grainy and fun. Like, the quality on the Renee Good videos was good.
As good as you could get. I mean, it was, you saw it from every angle. You saw the whole situation. It was really evident what happened. This one, not as much. It does seem like the cops probably need to be investigated, and it seems like this shooting might not have been justified. But like, okay, fine. Those guys have to get investigated. That's what has to happen. That doesn't mean shit about this operation, its goals, the merits of what they're trying to do. This still 100% needs to be carried out, and more dramatically. I think, the city needs to be like, these protests need to be shut down the second, like, they step off the curb kind of thing, where it's like, like riot police. Because it's like, they're not just out there, they're not outside City Hall with like signs,
Right.
it's like they're there during the night, they're impeding these operations, they're trying to stop the cops from doing what they're doing. That's not a protest. That's a riot.
But that's where the left really twists the language and tries to make the right seem authoritarian and fascist and all these words they throw around they don't know the meaning of. It's like, oh, we have a right to protest. Okay, yes, we do have the right to protest. However, that protest ceases to be a protest when you're actually impeding federal operations. At that point, you're effectively causing an insurgence.
Yeah, I agree. And Senjin Dildo here is saying, so you're against a well-armed militia, kind of throwing the Second Amendment there. And it's like, no, I'm not. But if I bring a gun to a fist fight, you know what I mean? And something happens in the exchange. I'm fighting and the gun goes off, or I get shot, or he gets shot and I get in trouble, or a cop shoots me because I have the gun. It's like, was it my legal right to bring the gun? Technically, yes, it was. And it's like, should that right be impeded? No. However, I'm asking for trouble. And I'm not saying that's what happened here, but it's like you showed up to a protest armed, and the protest was against law enforcement. You were kind of asking for trouble.
Well, and to add to that, so speaking specifically about the armed militia, I'm actually very in favor of well-armed militia. However, let's say that well-armed militia was coming to arms in favor of, let's say, the Somalian government instead of our own. I'm all for also crushing that well-armed militia with our own militaristic might. Like, let's be real. Like, just because it's a well-armed militia, don't mean that it needs to exist. It just has the right to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think people, I hate making this point because I feel like it's so obvious and boomer, but I have to do it because I just saw it going around so much. It was that there people were like, oh, if you're in favor of, and they'd show a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse. Well, you can't not be in favor of this guy. And it's like, actually, fucking yes, you can, because that guy was not going after law enforcement. He was going after it was a riot. The whole thing had degenerated, and he was protecting property, which is the foundation of the Second Amendment. You bringing a gun to a protest where you're protesting law enforcement actually is quite different.
It's kind of like the whole, look, I'm gonna be real. I'm a fan of victim blaming. I fucking love victim blaming. Dude, I hear that a woman got fucking, I'll just say R-worded. I don't know how spicy you on your show, but it's just a woman gets R-worded. It's like, okay, that sucks. But did you need to wear skimpy clothes in a nightclub in Harlem? Like, you did. Like, it sucks, but you kind of brought it on yourself. You could have gone to, upstate New York in your fancy clothes, but you chose Harlem.
There was, I think it was, I don't know if it was Patrice O'Neal, but there was a comedian, where he was just saying, like, as a man, like, there's just certain places I don't go. So I know that I have to preserve my own self. Yes, it's always wrong, of course, but my self-preservation is also my responsibility. You have no hand in it? None?
Exactly. And this is how I feel about the fucking protests. Like, again, it's a simple case of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You would have served a lot more for your family, your loved ones, the whole nine, assuming you have any, if you just stuck to being a fucking keyboard warrior.
I agree. Or, just protested more peacefully. Essentially, Dildo saying, dude didn't even pull his gun out. And that's fair. He didn't. And like I said, I don't think this shooting was a good shooting. I don't think it was justified, and it may have very well been illegal. And like I said, if that investigation proves that out, fine. I think that will be just. This isn't a case of 5 years ago where anytime a cop got involved with a criminal, no matter what happened, if the guy happened to be black and the cop happened to be white, didn't even have to be white, just like the guy happened to be black, then that guy was pretty much automatically guilty in the court of public opinion, and then even sometimes in the court. I'm the same, but that doesn't mean that we shut the protest down because of one bad shut the deportations
shut the
down.
Operation down.
Yeah, because of one bad shooting. Bullshit.
Well, not only that, because this is the one bad shooting. How many hundreds of thousands or however many people have been deported thus far? How many of these operations have been a success? Like, if we're weighing the statistics here, obviously there's been far more good than harm done.
Yeah, that's true. It is a little worrisome though, because it's kind of, I think what we were talking about earlier would probably be more productive in ways of deportations, because we can't keep this up. We can't keep this tenor up, because it's like it is going to devolve into some serious problems, and we're not really getting the numbers that we need. Because it's like, if we're just talking about just the Biden administration, deportations or immigrants that came over the past 4 years, we're still talking 11 million people.
I would say 11 million just in that 4-year period.
Just in that 4-year period. So that's a few million people a year you got to get back just to get pre-Biden. Just to get and that's we're not accomplishing that with these raids. They're certainly not doing that. But I was listening to Dave Smith. You know Dave Smith?
I'm a huge Dave Smith fan. I'd say as somebody who fancies himself. It sounds like I've been doing a whole lot of bootlicking for the government throughout this throughout this stream, which is kind of funny because really, look, I am at the end of the day, I consider myself to be a bit of a libertarian. The problem with being a libertarian is that you can't a libertarian society can't fucking function if you don't have a society that agrees on law and order to begin with.
Yeah.
And so we need to get back to that level before any actual libertarianism can even begin to sort of take hold. So
we need order first.
Say that again.
Order first.
Yeah, exactly. So I would like to get to at least a level of stability, and so I'm very hit or miss with Dave Smith. I'm a big fan of Dave Smith, but I'm also half his takes I feel are complete and utter idealism and just cannot function, and the other half I'm no, I agree with this fucking completely.
So there was a few things he was saying today or on his show last night that I agreed with, or well, that I wanted to point out. One, I did not agree with at all. He was saying about how this guy Pretty like stepped in because this cop like pushed a woman, and Dave goes on to say, "Well, you better have a pretty good reason to push a woman." It's like, what is this fucking like unk shit? What are you talking about? Like this bitch is like antagonizing cops and trying to stop like a lawful operation of deportation that we all voted for. Like, no, you fucking don't. Like let's.
And the fact that the we all voted for part, that's the big part. People seem to fucking forget. This was the numero uno thing Trump ran on and won the popular vote on.
Yeah.
This is obviously the overwhelming majority opinion that this needs to fucking happen.
100%. But the other point that he made that I thought was really strong, which was that, we're having all these problems in these blue states, right? Like the law enforcement, the local governments, the state governments, they're not helping. And I think that's fair. Why don't we start with red states where we are going to get all the cooperation? Go to Texas, right? Abbott will roll out the red carpet. All the local police departments will roll out the red carpet. They'll help you deport anyone you want. And so you do start with states where you are going to get cooperation. You're not going to get spicy video that's going to make all these Republicans start shaking in their boots as the midterms are approaching. It's like you're going to get the operations you want. You're going to get numbers you can brag.
Lost midterms.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The Republicans there's no coming back from this. Short, like, full release of the Epstein files, something like 2 weeks before midterms, they losing. It's
I
done.
mean, there's too many things that they ran on where it's just like this looks so bad. Like you guys do not, and so much of the way we understand our government has been reshifted. And we now kind of see, wow, there is like this giant invisible blue and white hand that seems to have a lot of influence on what goes on here. And it's like, oh, so Epstein files are a no-go. Iran with a war with Iran is a go. And we're gonna trickle out some deportations. It's like, oof. Not really the way to do it. But I thought Dave Smith's plan, yeah, that's actually a great idea. Start with all the red states. We're going to get all your cooperation. Then you'll get bragging numbers too. Then you'll be like, we deported 1 million. We deported this many hundreds of thousand. Like, I feel like that would work out. I was like, that's actually really salient. He made like
here's the problem, because Dave Smith is correct in theory. The problem with that is that we sort of, specifically with Texas, we did do that. There was a huge ICE presence in Texas over this past summer and fall and whatnot, and we didn't hear a lot about it because exactly what you said went down. So the problem with the Republicans is the optics. Like they did exactly what Dave recommended this past summer and fall, but didn't brag about it. There was no there's no media coverage. You need to put these wins everywhere, fucking Times Square. Like, hey, look how many we deported from fucking Texas right now. You're welcome. Sort of thing. So it only works. That Dave Smith's recommendation only works if the Republicans actually understand optics, which they fucking don't.
Doesn't seem like they do. I think they got real cocky. I think, the entire culture has shifted to be more of a right-wing conservative culture, kind of across the board and across demographics. And great. That's a wonderful thing. That's something we needed. We all I got into the YouTube to talk about how obnoxious woke shit is. You know what I mean? And everyone's had enough. Even my mom watches stuff. It's like, oh, does everyone have to be gay? And
my grandma is a Kennedy era Democrat, like JFK and whatnot, and she still to this day considers herself a Democrat. And all the time, I'm like, no, Grandma, if you talk to a leftist my age, they would think that you are a radical right wing. Doesn't matter how much you fucking hate Trump. Doesn't matter how much you watch CNN. The fact that you think that the fact that you don't think dudes can magically become chicks means that you're against them.
Yeah. And I think that kind of like that bubble, that sort of crazy woke leftist bubble pushed a lot of kind of like center left people and even left people over to the center and over to the right, where they're just like, okay, I'm just going to hold my nose and vote for Trump because it's like, this is just too crazy. And like, what are we talking about? Kamala Harris? Not going to happen. So the culture, I think overall has shifted right. And that's great. Fan-fucking-tastic. What a wonderful, wonderful development. But then now it's like you start to see, oh, right, this is the Republican Party. Oh, right. Like, I forgot. You know what I mean? I got so swept up in this fucking, hysteria with how bad things had gotten and how much I wanted the country back. That's like, yeah, Trump still works for the Republicans. He's not his own thing at all.
Well, no, Trump works for the Israelis, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, tomato, tomato.
Well, the reason I say it is not tomato tomato is because the left also works for the Israelis. They just hide it better.
They do. And I will give the left a little bit more, or the Democrats more credit in the sense that they do actually have less members of Congress who are on the AIPAC payroll. It's not that much less, but it is less. I don't know if that's I don't know what that means because I feel like the left in this country is as nefarious, as destructive. I was listening to Nick Fuentes last night, and he starts talking about it's like all that ideology comes from the left anyway. All that open borders, melting pot, fucking anti-capitalist commie bullshit is Jew left shit anyway. So it's all the same. It's all the
Right.
same. I was like, that's not a bad point. That's not a bad point. Um, but yeah, no, it's wild. I really don't know what the future is going to be because I feel like as much as I do think the Trump administration is a disappointment and probably will shake out to be a disappointment, I've never seen people be more open to what's really going on, more aware
Hmm.
of the actual state of politics in this country. So I don't really
And I,
know.
oh, sorry, go on.
No, no,
Go
I
ahead.
just I just don't know what the future holds. But whatever. What do you think about that?
Well, I think there's two levels to it. There's the social aspect, and there's the actual like voting and the people we put in power. The political aspect, which I think that we're finally getting to a point where at a social level, most people have more or less reverted back to at least that sort of like early 90s level of conservatism, right, where it was you could openly talk about shit like deportations and not be ostracized. So I would say that that's at a social level we move in the right direction. Then you've got the people that are paying attention, like you said, which we're much more aware than we've ever been, and they're like, man, I agree with all this right leaning shit in theory, but these motherfuckers aren't actually doing it.
Yeah.
So does that mean, are they going to be like, since they're not doing it, let's vote for the left? I mean, have you seen the dude bros who are going for the what they're calling the accelerationist method?
I've heard of this. I mean, and I'm not quite sure. Like I heard like Clavicular talks about that. That like, do you know who that guy is? The Gen Z Bone Smash Look Smacks guy.
If it might be the same dude I'm talking about, but I didn't
Might
know him
be.
by name. Hold on.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
like he's 20, which is like he was on a stream with Fuentes and Sneeko, and I was like, why are we listening to this 20-year-old
Yeah, yeah.
kid?
So, yeah, this is exactly the same dude. Yeah, one of the dudes
Okay.
that's leading the charge on this, and his whole idea is get as many Gen Z right wing individuals to just vote for the most leftist motherfuckers you absolutely can every election going forward to accelerate the full decline of the political system so that we can effectively burn it down and start fresh.
That's only a 20-year-old could come up with an idea like that. It's
Yeah, yeah.
because
I don't think it makes any fucking sense, but by the same token, I can see why they are so desperate for something that's the route they would take.
oh yeah, yeah, but it's fucking stupid because it's like, look, we've had a pretty significant standard of prosperity in this country for a very long time. The water works, the electric works. You know what I mean? There's relative safety. The grocery store is full of groceries. It's like there's always problems. Healthcare's an issue. Borders, blah. There's things, but the quality of life overall is still pretty manageable. It's declining. You know what I mean? But
People in poverty here are still living like kings compared to the vast majority of history.
yeah, I think these idiots don't realize how bad it could get. Like there's no magical force field around this country that just keeps it safe, that just keeps it prosperous. Like it could absolutely implode and destroy and they could lose control. Police departments could I mean we saw it in Seattle, right? They overran a police department and nothing really came of that. So
You
it's
talking about
like
Chaz back in the day?
yeah, like
Yeah.
that can happen. So it's like you could descend into true anarchy, at least in pockets of the country or open war. Like that could happen. There's nothing unique about this country that would stop that from happening if the problem grew too big. So it's like, are you going to survive that? Like, do you have like a compound? Do you have a bunker? Do you have like 10,000 rounds of ammunition to be able to fight off hordes of people coming for your shit? Like, do you have a farm? Do you have like a well? Like, are you going to be able to survive like true anarchy? Or are you just talking shit?
90% of people, myself included, are talking shit, and that's like now I'm blessed that my dad actually has a lot of what you just mentioned. But the question is, can I make it 40 minutes to my father's shit hits the fan? Because 40 minutes doesn't sound like far by car until shit hits the fan. Then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, 40 minutes may as well be halfway across the fucking country.
Yeah, I think like it sounds romantic, but I think it's kind of the way people would talk about like the apocalypse. Like, oh, like they think it's gonna be Fallout and they're gonna have power armor and fucking laser guns and shit. And it's like, no, you're gonna be probably dead, most likely dead. And if not dead, like some fucking
You
savage.
will wish you were dead. Like if you're not one of the ones that dies, you are the unlucky one.
Yeah, yeah. And you'll be someone's fuck sleeve. You know what I mean? Some fucking like
You'll be
giant,
Channing Tatum in World's End or whatever it's called.
yeah. Well, you'd be like humongous. Humongous's fuck sleeve. Like it's just like think about so it's like okay, in anarchy, then imagine like okay, now all the jails open up, right? It's like so the savages who were so savage in our stable society they had to be locked away. Now they have access freely to guns and vehicles and who fucking knows, man? It's like when you talk about that like oh, it'll get so bad. It's like or it might just get so irreparably bureaucratic like it is right now that you can never vote. There is no new system that you can create. Some of these Gen Z kids, like they talk about, oh, the Constitution doesn't really matter. We don't live up to the Constitution, this, that, and the other. And it's like, I agree with you. I agree with some of that. But at the same time, it's also like, the odds of us getting together and rewriting the Constitution and any of the rights that matter, like free speech and access to guns, getting put back when we're all like rewriting it are slim to none.
Yeah, we're again. It's called the Great Experiment in American Freedom, and it's an experiment that for a long time seemed like it was really paying off. But we also kind of went too far and like, we should let commies have rights and opinions, and they should get to speak. Like, no, because dumb people get infected with those ideas, and all of a sudden they start thinking that us having guns and free speech is a fucking bad thing.
We also got narratively captured too, because like Razor Fist, right? I know you've kind of like
Yeah.
trashed him a little bit, but he did a few videos in this
I
series.
trash him just based on who I think he is as a person. He's got a lot of good points I agree with. He's got some I disagree with, but I think that Razor Fist, like from a political standpoint, he's about 60-40 for me. 60
Yeah, I'm starting to like he's really failed the JQ. He really has not gotten that question right at all. And he's just completely missed the whole Israel influence, or he just like ignores it. And when it's just become so blatant and so obvious that it's like you don't even, that's just not a problem, huh? What seems like a pretty big influence in our government, no matter who's in charge. So I feel like it does need to be addressed. But anyway, he did a series of videos like a few years ago that were basically about like McCarthyism. And it's just like, there were communist infiltrators in the government. It wasn't just all like a big scare where everyone kind of lost their mind for a few years. It was like, no, there were really infiltrators. There were really agitators who were paid by the USSR to infiltrate our government. And guess what? That influence is still there.
It's still spend an hour and just fucking look up the Yuri Bezmenov speech from like the 83 or what the fuck ever it was. Like,
Yeah.
It's the playbook has been on YouTube since like 2006, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Wasn't that in like a Call of Duty video game too or something?
If it was, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me at all because Call of Duty used to actually care about historical accuracy.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. People like forget what Call of Duty started as. It was a World War II video game.
Yeah, Call of Duty 3 is my favorite. It was the last one that was in World War II. Well, Modern Warfare 2 is probably my favorite, but Call of Duty 3 is still fantastic. It was one of the last ones in World War II.
Yeah, Medal of Honor and all that stuff. Those were sick games. I think like I played one or two where you stormed Normandy.
Yeah, that was probably the third one. You do Medal of Honor as well, but yeah, you do the D-Day, Beaches of Normandy in Call of Duty 3.
Is that 3? Yeah.
And it's like, again, we're living in an era right now where it's not just Israel. I don't know their big problem. I want to address them, but it is a conglomeration of all these different individuals, whether it be from a political or a financial. Like China, we absolutely have to worry about China from a financial aspect. Because they're in bed with Russia, they're in bed with Brazil. People laugh, oh, Brazil. Yeah, guess what, Brazil? I think if Brazil can get their education under control, then they would absolutely be a world power because they are resource rich and they have got a lot of just natural protection via,
it's a giant
via
country
their geography.
Yeah, it's a very, very large country as well. It doesn't like you don't think of it as a big country, but it's like, no, it's probably the second or third biggest in this hemisphere. Well, I guess Canada. So, but Canada doesn't count. That's not a real place.
Even without education, if Brazil went to World of Canada, Brazil would win. Like, let's be real. Like,
well, yeah,
the savages versus the hockey players. So the hockey players are cool, but you got like 12 of those left that actually still eat meat. So
yeah, exactly. And the rest of them are named Panjid. The rest of them are Patels now. Well, Leon, I know that you got to get going because you got to do your stream. You've got yours coming up. What's the topic you're doing tonight?
Yeah, Tinfoil Haters. Every Tuesday is our conspiracy slash paranormal show. I didn't realize that we'd be potentially having a show now. I thought we'd be running it solo because both Sammy and Cindy were like, "Hey, we're not gonna be able to make it," and then they're like, "Actually, never mind, we will be able to." So we're just gonna pull up like an hour's worth of supposed real ghosts caught on camera and see if we can see how they're verifiably fake. See if any of them spook us into believing they're real. I don't know. The truth is out there.
Well, Sammy, Leon, thank you so much for doing the show. I appreciate you, brother. We've never done a solo one-on-one before.
And it was awesome. Again, thank you so much, dude.
Yeah.
And happy 100, man. That's fucking like mad congratulations.
Thank you very much, brother. Yeah, that was great. That flew by. I got more shows. I got more guests and stuff like that. I told the audience I was supposed to have Right Wing Coalition on. He's another Gen Z right guy. He had to reschedule the interview, so gonna push that back a few weeks. But he will be on, and then I keep having guests and more shows and all that stuff. But Leon, thank you so much. Everyone,
Happy to do it. Anybody from my chat that came through on this, if you're not subbed to Matt, make sure you do so. Dude's a fucking legend.
thank you, Leon. You're the fucking man. I appreciate that. Thank you for everyone coming by. So, all right, brother, you have a good one, man. Go have a good stream.
Deuces. Later, chat.
Deuces. All right, folks. Well, that was Leon. Leon Idol, the man. Thank you for him for coming on. That was fun. That was a good time. I guess I'll hang out with you guys for a little bit longer. I normally do 90 minutes. Zax. Accelerationists could just move somewhere that's already burnt down. Liberia is begging for TikTok retards to rebuild them. Base. I agree. Yeah, go start from scratch there. See how easy it is to build a civilization from nothing. I'm sure you could do it. Look, looks, Max. You've got it all figured out. Senja Dildo. USSR had very little to do with it. They were paid by sections of your own elites. They were paid. Who were paid by sections of your own elites? I don't get that. Can you clarify that? And I think the USSR did. I think that there was like direct funding trails going right to newspapers and political candidates and spies. I think it was a whole network. I don't think it was nearly as benign. I think it was very direct influence, as I understand it. Because there were like spies who got arrested, I think even executed over that time, who were selling secrets to the Soviets. I'm trying to remember the specifics, but I was just reading about that just the other day. But I don't know about that. That sounds like commie talk. I think you're one of them. I think you're trying to infiltrate. I think you're trying to infiltrate this chat with your commie rhetoric. Since you dildo, I think it's still in your bones. Commie infiltrators. That's goddamn right. Hello, Piranha. Did you see that Jussie Somalia got busted? It was glorious. Is that the... Wait. Which one is that? Is that girl? The girl, the bananas and rice girl? Or is that... I saw iShow Speed was having trouble in Africa. I don't know if that's who you're talking about, or if it's Johnny Somali, who was like... He got busted, but that was in Korea. And he definitely got... He got his proverbial shit pushed in. But, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Trump administration and their immigration policy. I had a few things pulled up. I wasn't too worried about having enough to talk about with Leon because, me and Leon have done a lot of streaming together, and I know how the conversation goes. He's pretty based. He's pretty fun to talk to. But this is a guy, this Steven Crowder put this out today, who... I don't know. I used to think he's a total joke, but once he had Nick on and then was actually pretty cool and pretty decent to him, I was like, oh, this guy's actually not as much of a phony shill as I expected. Because he had Dave Smith on. He did nothing but antagonize him. I'm like, this guy's such a clown. But then he had like a real conversation with Nick Fuentes. And I see like Crowder putting out stuff every once in a while that's not just ball washing of the MAGA Trump. So I'm kind of like, okay. So he had this guy on, Nick Sortor, who's like a kind of independent journalist, and this is about the current like orders that the guys at the DHS and ICE have received. So let's just play this real quick.
One of the stories that I've unfortunately been hearing this morning is that Border Patrol agents have now been given new orders not to, for example, if they were to run a license plate and it comes back as that person is an illegal that Border Patrol was forced to let into the country under Joe Biden, they are no longer allowed to arrest that person.
And is this
even
the first
though they know for a fact it's illegal?
Is this new information that you're just bringing to light right now, that these new orders? Okay. And I don't want you to reveal your sources, but you have someone who you trust on this. You believe this is a matter of official, actual approach and policy now.
This actually came from two separate Border Patrol agents on the ground in Minnesota. They're very, very frustrated. Obviously, they feel like one of them actually said that this feels like we just reverted to the Biden days. One of the stories that
I think that's the whole video. Yeah. Well, yeah. Centradillo is saying, "Oh God, Crowder." Right, and that was my opinion for a while. But you know, if he was just carrying water for the administration without any scrutiny or any kind of complex analysis, I don't think he would have this guy on who was going to let the world know that, hey, the Trump administration in Minnesota, Minneapolis, was like, no, we're just going to focus on criminals. Because a lot of the criticism about Trump's deportation plan is that he said himself that we're not going to deport everybody. We're just going to deport the criminals, because it is unpopular. Trump, loves the press, always wants good press, even though they hate him no matter what he does. I thought he evolved out of that. I thought he grew up. I thought he ascended. I thought he realized that there's nothing I can do to satisfy these people, so I'm just going to do what's right. Silly me, but that's what I thought was going to happen. But if Crowder's having this guy on, I feel like he's exposing something. He's trying to point out a real criticism. So I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I thought that was worth pointing out. But yeah, I think it's becoming clearer and clearer to everybody that the Trump administration really is not serious about all these deportations. Like, it's not the absolute lunacy of the Biden years where we're just letting in millions of people completely unvetted, unchecked with, they'll just have immigration appointments. Oh, I'm sure they'll be there with bells on, Joseph. I bet that's exactly what's going to happen. Of course, it's not what happened. And the demographic shift is near permanent now. The United States is just a completely different country, and it's going to continue to change in ways that are unrecognizable if there isn't some dramatic action taken, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be, because it does seem like Trump doesn't want to take the hit on the stock market, which is what would happen if you focused on the illegals and like the illegal employment, right? If you got rid of that, then all these businesses are now losing money because now they have to pay their employees more, their value goes down, the big number goes down, boomers lose wealth, and he doesn't want to risk that. And then this, I think, is just reinforcing that. And it's like, unfortunately, it's starting to look more and more like the critics are correct, that a lot of this Minneapolis stuff is just theater. It's just meant to look brash and aggressive, like we're really going after it. But I think at the end of these 4 years, we might only get something like 1 million deportations, maybe like 1.5, which is, I guess, better than nothing, but that's really not what we voted for. That's not what the whole point of this was. And like, if by some outside wacky chance another Republican gets elected, what, are they going to be tougher on this issue than Trump? Is Vance going to be the one who's going to pick up the mantle and fight through all the Democrat judges and all the politicians who are fighting against? It's like, so odds are they're going to lose in the midterms, right? They're going to lose probably the House and the Senate, and then Trump will be lame duck, and then somehow they'll get enough popularity over those 2 years to then win the presidency again, which could happen. But are you going to have the House and the Senate again like you do right now? Like, you have basically what would be considered autonomy in the whatever in the American political system? Probably not. So it's like, this is the chance. This is the only opportunity you have, and you need to push, and you need to do it aggressively, and you need to get the legislation through. You need to make these things like permanent so that they can never be undone. But it really just starts to seem like the critics are correct, that they're really not serious about this actual deportations, actually millions of deportations, because in order to do that, you probably have to get like the military involved, the National Guard. You'd have to disrupt a lot of people, cut off funding to sanctuary cities, things that he should do. But it's not looking like he's gonna do it. What's up, Nick? How you doing, brother? Surprised Ice Ice Baby is not the top of the musical charts right now. I just don't think people are excited. I don't think people buy it. You know, I think there's a lot of coping, there's a lot of trust the planning going on, but I don't think people really are as jazzed. You know, I was on Twitter earlier today and I saw that picture. Do you remember during the election when they tried I don't know if it was the Kamala campaign themselves or if it was just some random fan on Twitter or the internet, but they tried to put out that photo that Kamala worked at McDonald's. And then everyone knew that it was bullshit, and they found the original photo. And then Trump went and did that photo op where he worked at the McDonald's for like a half hour or something like that. Like, do you remember those days? Like, do you remember how fucking pumped you were? I was pumped. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, just win after win. He just like, he every PR move was great. You know, we're all riding high and we were going to take the country back. We were going to correct this country. We were going to undo all the crazy shit that had been going on. You know, this guy was serious. This guy was it wasn't old Trump. You know, he's got the Avengers assembled. He's got all these great guys. He's got Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Tulsi Gabbard and RFK. And then what do you get? Dan Bongino quits before his year's out, and now he's here to correct the black pillars. Okay, Dan. Okay, well, set us straight, Dan. You fucking did nothing, covered for fucking elite pedophile jerk off. You loser. Kash Patel, who is this guy? This guy seems like a buffoon. Like, he honestly seems like a complete clown. Like, I saw some numbers put out by the FBI. I guess that some stuff's up, but it's like, it's not who we wanted you to get. We wanted you to get criminals. Fantastic. That's wonderful. But what about the deep state? What about the people who invented Russiagate? None of that? We're not getting any of that? We're not getting any of the people who, framed the president for treason and were proven to not be correct? None of those people are getting arrested? Nothing? John Bolton and that's it, huh? No Clintons, none of the Epstein stuff. None of that's happening. Okay, all right. Well, at least he ended the war in Gaza. Okay. I mean, I was just reading the other day that 3 Palestinians were just killed just the other day. They have not honored the ceasefire. And it's just a ceasefire. It's not like some kind of permanent peace. It'll probably pick up again. The Venezuela thing is kind of debatable. Some people like it, some people don't, but it's not a forever war, that's for sure. So you can say that definitively. However, we are moving our carriers back to maybe strike Iran. So what about the not war policy? It's like they haven't done almost anything they said they were going to do. And it's just like, man, I remember being so excited. I remember being so pumped, Elon's going to get in there with Doge. We're going to get rid of the rot. We're going to get rid of all the corruption and the fraud. What do we get? Bigger spending. Oh, 50-year mortgages. Gee willikers. Thanks. Thanks, Trump. Thank you, Donnie T. You really corrected. You really drained the swamp, didn't you? Said Jadildo, nothing but slop. All that energy was just funneled, making you neocon cheerleaders. Now, that's not entirely true. That's not entirely true, and I'll tell you why. Because like I said, sandwiched in that message was the, was no new wars. And the whole thing with neocons is the foreign policy, is basically helping, basically doing everything that Israel would want. Right? But that wasn't something that was on the Trump agenda, even before everyone got red-pilled on the JQ, to borrow a few phrases. Excuse me. No, he was talking about how bad those wars went in Iraq and Afghanistan, how stupid and misguided those were. So it was part of the plan. We all did kind of end up jumping on board with the old Republican Party, which on retrospect is pretty fucking stupid, but we didn't think it was like that. We thought it was different, because it kind of was in 2016. The point was, he's a billionaire. He doesn't need the money from the donors. He can go in there and do his own thing. Yeah, it's a little unorthodox. Yeah, it's a little shooting from the hip. But he's different. He's an outsider. He's not a career politician. He doesn't need this to acquire wealth. He's already wealthy. He can do his own thing in there. And then just disappointment. And you do feel kind of stupid, because I remember like hearing around the election that I didn't really know anything about Nick Fuentes, but I remember hearing he was just like, no, he's not. I'm not supporting Trump and this, and I was just like, who is this doomer? Really? Oh, okay. So what? Kamala? Shut up, idiot. Like I just didn't take any of that kind of criticism seriously because I was too pumped. I was like, we're gonna do it this time, and we were. I mean, the culture shifted. John Jones. Remember the dance? Everyone's doing the dance. I miss those days. I kind of want to go back to just being blissfully unaware and positive. That was good. That was a good high. And then when they won. We're pumped on America. He gets inaugurated and he just starts, boom, executive order after executive order. We're getting rid of this stupid climate bullshit. It's like, hell yeah. It was like being at a rock concert. And then now we're going back to war with Iran. We're not getting mass deportations, spending more than ever. Fraud just keeps going. Oh, we're looking into the Somali fraud. Yeah, I bet you are. With all these Minnesota raids and then people are talking about how they're there to deal with the Somali fraud, I don't see a lot of Somali guys getting locked up. Don't really see a lot of Somali people being taken out in handcuffs. So are you there for that Somali fraud, or is that just a cover, or is that just, I don't know, sensationalism? Doesn't look. I mean, I don't feel like we're getting what we voted for. I hate to be so just obnoxious, but that's just how it seems to me. Unless it's Greenland, then murk the Danes, right, Matt? It's not about murking the Danes. It's more about like, who gives a shit? Shut up, Denmark. Who asked you? You're like. Your entire country's population is as big as like the Dallas metro area. Like, we're not interested in your opinion. Like, you can only say any of this because the EU. Like, you're not tough. None of you guys have a military. Like, what are we talking about? Like, 50,000 people live on Greenland. $700 billion wasn't enough. What do you even care for? I don't really even think they do. I mean, I don't really see the counter argument. I think the whole point is just they don't like being pushed around by Trump. They're recognizing that his power is fading. They see that, they know, they're politicians. They know the midterms are coming and he's probably going to lose his power. He's lost a lot of his momentum in the country and on the global scale, global stage. I think they just were like, no, we don't want to acquiesce to you. You keep slapping us with tariffs. It's like this roller coaster. Oh, one day they're on, and then we're gonna double them, we're gonna triple them, and it's like they renegotiate the trade stuff. It's like he does a lot of bluster, and he's kind of a bully. And I think they're just like, no, actually, no, not this time. We're actually gonna make it an international incident. Yeah, we're gonna send a troop there. We're gonna send a squad, do something. And he called his bluff. You gotta give him credit for that. I don't know why he cares. I don't know why he's just like, yeah, we're not really interested. We could just take it. We were being polite by offering you the money. What are you gonna do? Obviously, disrupting the world peace with Europe would not really be a wise strategic step. But he could do it. Easy. We just kidnapped a fucking dictator in the middle of the night in like an hour. What are you going to do, Denmark? Shut up. What's up, Hook? How are you? The system allows what it wants to see more of. Nothing is going to happen. Well, that's unfortunately what it seems like is the reality. That's why I kind of like, I think it's interesting what Nick Fuentes' kind of strategy is, where it's not necessarily like, oh, let's get behind this presidential candidate or that presidential candidate. It's more like we're going to punish Republicans who aren't America first. I was like, that's cool. I like that. And also to encourage all of like his supporters, all the groypers, to like acquire power wherever they can in any level of government or even like in business. Because this way, then there's like this kind of silent, second population, this like dual You know, there's like this shadow government that's just expanding. That's just going to be like activated one day. I think that's actually a smart strategy because I think it's like you end up right. It's like, okay, let's say Trump really did want to do all the deportations. You know, he actually has like the courage to do it. And he's like, I don't care. I don't have to worry about re-election. We're doing it. It's like, well, all his Republican, constituents, they do have to worry about re-election. So if he's just like, no, we're doing this, I don't care. I don't care what it does to you. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care if your constituents, the hospitality groups or the farm owners lose money. This is better for America and Americans. We're doing it. Well, now he's lost so many allies. Right now he's lost all the different allies in the government. And the thing is, like, Trump makes such bad alliances. Like, he makes alliances with someone like Lindsey Graham and makes an enemy of Thomas Massey. It's like, no. What you should have done was like appoint Thomas Massey to like the head of federal fraud. You know what I mean? Like, you should have like actually given him a real position, like the Doge thing. And then that's what he does. Massey finds fraud, and he would, he would. That would be the type of, and you could gut that federal government, man. Like that would be like a hatchet man accountant, but it's just that, he's not really for big war. He's not for big spending in the government. It's like, this guy's the worst. It's like, he's the best. He's the only one who's principled in that fucking place. He's the only one who sticks to his guns and actually follows through on what he wants to do. Sencha Dildo. He didn't lose the only ally he really cares about, though. Oy vey. No, he did not. No, he didn't. Yeah, there's really no way to, what's the word? There's no way to rationalize that. That's just very transparent. I do think as a dude, he doesn't really want war. I really do think that. I think him trying to advocate for the Palestinian ceasefire was a thing. I think, he pulled an okey doke with the so-called 12-day war. I really think that. I think that's why he just tweeted in the middle of the night after the B-2s went and bombed the facility, it was over. And I think that threw everyone for a loop. I don't think anyone really expected that. They were like, what do you mean it's over? He's like, it's over. We did it. It's called the 12-day war. I think he was pushing them or pushing back on them a little bit. And I heard someone speculating, Daryl Cooper was talking about an insider that he was talking to in the Trump administration that, Bibi and a few of the other Middle Eastern powers wanted him to bomb Iran. And he kind of hemmed and hawed about it until it was an inopportune time. Then he's like, all right, I'm ready. And then then Netanyahu was like, no, I mean, the protests have stopped. We can't really do it now. And he's just like, oh, gee whiz. Well, I was ready. That's what someone had said. I don't know how accurate that is. That sounds kind of like the old school trust the plan Trump kind of interpretation. But I do think he doesn't really want war because I think it's extremely unpopular. I think he wants to be able to throw his weight around, do stuff like the Maduro thing. Quick, decisive, get it done, and we're out. I don't think he wants a protracted war. I don't think, he's vain. I think he wants a good legacy. And wars, they're not good legacies. I mean, if you really think about almost every war that this country's fought for the past, even over almost 107 since the Civil War, they're not good. World War II, the Civil War, Desert Storm, kind of it. Every other war we fought, for the most part, it had had a pretty bad reflection on the president, bad connotation, bad history. Even the Spanish-American War is not great. World War I's really bad. Korea, Vietnam. Some of the stuff that Reagan did with Iran and Panama is okay, but most of the stuff is just not really. No one likes it. No one's positive. It casts a dark shadow on your administration. It throws your bad legacy of your history. So I feel like Trump knows that and he doesn't want war. But our greatest ally does. So he's in a tight spot. I think most likely he'll cave to that. But I do think as a guy, he doesn't want war. That's my opinion. Hook. Trump doesn't like war. Come again. 7 wars in a year. What is that? Are you saying? I don't get it. I feel like you're not. Yeah. 7 wars in a year. What are you referring to exactly? And then he says, if Israel asks for war, Trump gives it to him. Trump has done more war actions inside of a year than any other president. Is that true? More than Obama? Wasn't Obama running a war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and then basically running a war in like Lebanon and Syria all at the same time? What exactly has Trump done that exceeds Obama? I don't think that's accurate. Sejadil, the trust of plantars don't even understand the plan they're trusting. Yeah, you know what? That's fair. Unfortunately, that happens to be true. I was one of these retards, probably still am. But I guess it's optimism. You know, you're just trying to be hopeful. You're just trying to hope for, you know, positivity. This guy actually is good, you know, because we've been, in this country, we've been dealing with that for 30, 40 years, you know, of just like, wow, this guy sucked. And so did this guy. I mean, like, no one really likes any of the presidents, you know. The libs like Obama, but that's just because they like that he's black and he was, you know, well-spoken. They don't, you couldn't upon actual scrutiny look at his legacy and be like, oh, that was better for the country overall. It's like, he was a fucking neocon, you know. If anyone was, Obama was. And, you know, the housing crisis destroyed it, bailed out the bank. I mean, he was the worst. He was awful. It's just like, you can't honestly think. So I think, like, each year, each cycle, we're just like, we're hoping. Now, this guy's going to do it. So I understand why people are coping. I understand the cognitive dissonance. You got to grow out of that. You got to be an adult and face reality. But that sucks. Trump did war actions against 7 different countries. You're including like bombing like Somalia and stuff like that. That's higher. These are higher than previous presidencies. I don't think that that's correct. I'm not like defending it. I think our foreign interest should be like, well, when we do stuff like that with foreign countries, it should be directly in our interest. And if it's not directly in our interest, we don't do it. You know, I just feel like we are stretched too thin. We've been doing this for too long. There's way too much blood on our hands. And what's it get us? Nothing. We just cost us money, cost us our young men, cost us our credibility. And for what? So Israel doesn't have competition, so they don't have to give the Palestinians a state? Really? I honestly don't give a fuck about that. So I would prefer if you stop throwing our men into harm's way so they can get their way because of their promised land, which isn't even an accurate reading. You know, I think, yeah, fuck all that. I mean, that's why, like, when I heard, like, Nick Fuentes' arguments that were pro the Venezuela move, I was like, I like those arguments, you know? And there were some other commentators who were, like, pro that. I was like, I didn't really know how to feel at first. I was kind of like, that was fucking badass. I'll say that. That was cool as fuck. Is that good for us? Why did we do that? You know, you break down the arguments, and it's like, you got to pick a side. It's like, all right, yeah, cool. It directly benefits us. Great. That's the type of military action I want to take. I don't want to deal with stuff over in the Middle East that constant just drags out and murders people. And then what do we get out of it? You know, all the liberals, myself as well at the time, going against like the Bush wars, it was like a war for oil. Well, we didn't even get oil out of it. We didn't even get the oil. So even if, you know, even the most bloodthirsty reason for us to go, we don't even get the benefits. So yeah, I just like that. I don't care about this other stuff. I don't care about Iran's regimes. They're shooting protesters. You know how many times that has started well, we got to do it. It's like, really, do we? I don't think so. I don't really believe it either. It's just like, what, this one isn't the CIA this time? Okay. I doubt it. Sec, getting the list. Oh, okay, Sec, getting the list. People forget about a few of them. Nigeria, Somalia, Syria, Iran, Yemen, Venezuela, and you can count Palestine if you count boots on the ground with the Rangers. Yeah, I mean, okay, I see what you're saying. I do. But I think you also have to kind of, like, there's like a quantity here thing. Look, I was saying we shouldn't be bombing Somalia. The whole fucking chat revolted. Everybody thought I was some kind of fucking lib pussy for that. I don't know why. Wasn't the Nigeria thing though? Like, didn't that immediately end the war though? You know, these aren't like these protracted things that like devolve into a civil war, like under some of the stuff that Obama did, like in Syria, like in Lebanon, and Iraq. Like these things were like years long absolute massacres. Like, I don't think we should be bombing these other countries. I'm not defending it, but there's levels. A few bombs here and there is not the same thing as like a protracted involvement that goes on for years. I'm not defending it. I don't think we should be doing it. I just explained my position on these 4 wars, but yeah. The chat was just fucking with you, Matt. No, they weren't. Fucking lib, you fucking conservative. I don't even know what I'm mad at. That was pretty funny. Guess who got 40% of that oil? Oh, who? I don't know. Who could that be? It could be anyone. Was it the Coincidence Crew? That's a Vigilante Williamson original. I'm stealing that. The Coincidence Crew. I love that. Other than Somalia, because fuck Somalia. That's funny. The only one that I've actually particularly said something negative against, he's just like, I don't care. Actually, you can kill those people. And that, I mean, I feel like that's part of the plan. This is just pure conspiracy theory. I've done no reading on it, but I think that's part of Israel's plan. I think part of Israel's plan is to flood the West with these Arabs, and then we hate them. Not that the Somalis are Arabs, I understand. But like Muslims, let's say, of the broader sort of region. And then we at the West are like, ugh, hate these people. Yeah, bomb the shit out of them. I honestly think that's just a conspiracy theory with nothing to back it up. It's just like a feeling. It's just a thought. But I think that that's part of it because it's like, it works. Right? You see like Tommy Robinson, who's like this big like UK liberation guy, like anti-immigration, that he just fillets the Israel. He just loves their fucking blue balls. And it's just like, dude, those two things they're not the same. They're not connected, And I know that like the most open border, like pro-Jewish or pro-immigration policies are, a lot of it comes from Jews. I understand that, and I know that that's real and that's proven and that's substantiated. But that part is just like my nefarious conclusion of like connecting the dots. Is this what this is about? That must be a coincidence. Plenty of things to back that up. See? Just pure intuition. I could just tell. I don't know. I'd still have to do some research before I would definitively say something like that. But that was just my instinct. I was just kind of like, I feel like, because that would kind of logically rule out. Like that would make sense. You got to have someone to hate, and the skinnies are easy to hate. Everyone can get behind that. And that's true. Like I said, we can hate and deport them without bombing them. That was my point, I don't know why. I just don't give a shit about that part of the world, man. I don't care. Let Europe deal with it. If it's such a problem, they're right there, They're right there. If it's such an issue that needs to be dealt with, then you fucking deal with it. Why is it our issue? I don't like it. It's just been so much money and so much time, so many military resources and men and people. I don't know. Anyway, all right. That's going to do it for this episode of the MFer Podcast, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for Neon Leon Idol for joining me today. That was a lot of fun. He's a good dude. He's a real true mensch. Make sure you guys head on over to Leon's channel. Well, I'll redirect you there. But if you don't follow Leon, follow him. He's a good guy. He's cool. He's smart. He's funny. He's got a bird. I don't know. That doesn't really count. But appreciate you guys watching this episode of the MFer Podcast. Might do another stream this week. No guarantees. But we'll be back next Tuesday for sure. Hopefully with a guest. I asked. I haven't heard back yet, but I think we're going to get a yes. So that's that for this episode. Thank you, folks. Have a wonderful freaking day. See you next week. Later.